Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the FinCrime Connection. I'm Claire,
And I'm Phil.
and this month we're bringing you 3 stories. August is typically a quiet time in the UK. I always think of it as summer holidays time, but we've got back to school weather and we've got some back to school stories. We've had a couple of really interesting publications this month, which we're going to delve into today. There's a progress report on the Economic Crime Plan 2. There's the Wolfsberg Group Statement on Innovation, and there is an OFSI disclosure.
Great. So let's start with the Economic Crime Plan update. What's this all about, Claire?
Since launching in 2023, the Economic Crime Plan 2 has sought to bolster the joint efforts of public and private sectors in cutting economic crime, protecting national security and supporting legitimate economic growth and competitiveness in the UK.
Yeah, and as with all of these things, it's very much written in government language. What does it actually mean?
So in plain English, it means the UK is trying to get better at measuring success. Until now, there have been lots of efforts to tackle financial crime, but it's not been easy to say how effective those measures have been. So are we actually reducing fraud, money laundering and corruption? This plan introduces an outcomes framework, which is basically a scorecard to track the progress in numbers and not just their intentions. It also confirms we're seeing more money laundering prosecutions. So in 2024, there were 6,845 prosecutions for money laundering, which was up a hefty 36% from the previous year. And there were also 3,756 convictions. So that's an increase as well of 7%. So that tells us that more cases are getting to court and more people are being convicted. So the justice system is really tightening up on financial crime. But the report also concludes there are still blind spots. The government admits it doesn't have all the data it needs. For example, how well is the system working in banks? And what will be the impact of new laws such as the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act? What will that mean in practice?
Yeah, it has to be a long game, I guess, is where we're going to hear.
Yeah, definitely. And the report admits that some of these measures won't show results until 2028. So businesses and regulators need to keep up the good work before we're able to measure how effective these reforms have been. So to summarise, the UK is getting better at chasing criminals, but it's a work in progress. Measurable progress is vital to keep a clear and transparent economy and to encourage legitimate investment in the economy. Trust in UK markets is a national asset, and tackling financial crime is about security and growth.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the update there. On to the next story. So the Wolfsberg paper on innovation. Very exciting. Let's talk about that. What are the headlines?
I completely agree. I think this is really exciting. So this guidance builds on the previous guidance from July last year, July 24. The latest Wolfsberg guidance is a step change, and it's about urging financial institutions to adopt intelligent and explainable systems to highlight suspicious activity, but making it more efficient and more effective. This combines the traditional risk-based approach with technical innovation, but cautions that success needs to depend on strong governance and validation, as well as better regulatory support. The report gives 3 core pillars for responsible innovation. They are transition and validation, balancing model risk with financial crime, and explainability to demonstrate transparency.
Yeah, I guess if we think about the practical implications of the report, what outcomes are they trying to drive?
So the key benefits would be to reduce false positives and focus on the outcomes as being more actionable alerts, which should in turn lead to better quality, meaningful SARs. And it's important to remember this isn't just a theoretical paper. It's produced by the group, who are an association of 12 global banks, and it's based on their evidence and their experiences. The group engages with regulators and financial intelligence units, as well as academics, and the guidance aims to provide a view of what's likely to be welcomed by the regulators, as well as what's practical and achievable.
Yeah, and I've seen quite a lot of noise in the media on LinkedIn as well about this. Is it a call to arms, a call to action?
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a prompt for firms to have a look at themselves and complete a self-assessment. So review existing systems, review rules, thresholds, alerts, focus on areas with really high false positives or low quality alerts, and review legacy systems which could benefit from automation or AI. From there, take the results of the review and consider your own assessment and business plan. And you might think it's time to innovate. So I would encourage firms to speak to their current tech providers, see what options there are. It could be there are features or enhancements that can be applied quickly and safely, or you might want to do something completely radical and look for a new or completely alternative system. In my experience, I would say the vast majority of firms are continually doing this and looking for ways to improve effectiveness. That might be to support growth or improve efficiency, provide better customer outcomes, or reduce fraud losses. And this paper is not likely to come as a surprise, but what it does provide is a structured process to embrace that new technology in a thoughtful and managed way to demonstrate that transitioning away from the legacy system is managed carefully and in line with the firm's risk appetite.
Absolutely. And we've spoken about it before on previous versions of the FinCrime Connection. And we just know from all over, you can't avoid the press and the headlines that criminals are taking advantage of advancing tech. There's lots of alarming stats out there at the moment in terms of the increase in AI and advancing tech being used in fraud. So it's imperative that firms also embrace innovation and try and stay as best they can one step ahead. And there's one last story to mention in this session, and that's the OFSI's latest disclosure notice.
That's right. And this one's hot off the press. So OFSI has issued a disclosure notice in relation to a breach of financial sanctions regulations. And in a case that sounds incredibly similar to the previous Wise breach, this one features Vanquis Bank, who have allowed a designated person access to an account. The bank did have screening in place, but delays in processing alerts meant that the designated person was able to withdraw cash and access the account to make a transaction before the bank actually restricted the account. Most surprising was that this occurred despite the fact that OFSI had forewarned the bank that one of their customers was due to be designated. That was the day before, and that should have put the bank on really high alert for potential matches through the screening process.
Yeah, absolutely. Some more lessons to be learned here. I think it's fair to say, firms need to ensure that the tech that's being deployed and applied in sanctions and FinCrime compliance isn't compromised at all by manual processes, and there can be no delay from a notification being received and something being applied immediately within the relevant platforms and systems and operational processes.
Yeah, it seems such a shame that with all the best processes, communication or simple human error can lead to a situation like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's everything. So that means we can wrap up for this month. We will pop links to everything that we've talked about today into the blog that comes alongside the episode.
And as always, if you have any questions, thoughts or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Please like and share. Claire and I will be back soon with the next episode of the FinCrime Connection.